Imagine this. You're sitting in a courtroom wearing the same wrinkled suit they arrested you in. The room smells like old wood and betrayal. And there, across the aisle, is your wife. The woman you vowed to love, protect, grow old with. She's not here to defend you. She's here to destroy you. Right hand raised, Bible under palm. She swears to tell the truth. But every word spilling from her lips is a lie. And you know it. You know she planted the drugs in your trunk. You know she called the cops. And you damn sure know she did it with help from her secret lover, a woman named Tony. And the worst part? The jury believes her. That was the moment Darius Hall's life split in two. Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comment where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. At 26, Darius was a youth counselor in Charlotte, North Carolina, a man of second chances, a man who believed in people. Every day, he worked with teens, keeping them off the streets, away from the same mistakes he once made. See, when Darius was 18, he got caught with a small bag of weed and a few pills. Nothing heavy, but enough to earn a short sentence and a long shadow. He served 6 months. Came home with a vow, never again. He meant it. Darius got clean, got focused, got certified. He took night classes, earned a counseling license, and poured his soul into his work. He drove a beat-up Nissan, wore the same 2 pairs of sneakers, said yes to every elder on the block. He was humble, kind, steady, and for 3 years, he gave his heart to one woman, Camille Hall. Camille was 28, a nurse assistant at Presbyterian Medical. Petite, soft-spoken, always neat, raised in a religious home where the Bible ruled every conversation, and secrets were buried deep. They met at a community health fair. She was checking blood pressure. He joked she made his heart skip a beat. She laughed. And just like that, it started. 2 months later, they moved in. 6 months after that, they got married in a courthouse, his sister and her cousin as witnesses. No big wedding. Just whispered vows in a hallway no one remembers but them. But marriage changed. Camille stopped laughing. She came home quiet. Cold. I'm tired, she'd say. Stressed. She faced the wall at night, pulled away when he tried to hold her. When he planned dates, she wasn't in the mood. Still, Darius loved her through it. Flowers on Fridays, back rubs on Sundays, homemade soup on Wednesdays after her shifts. But the wall between them only grew taller. Then came Tony Latimore. Tony worked the ER night shift. She was the opposite of Camille, loud, bold, tattooed, box braids down her back, gold hoops in her ears. She didn't care what anyone thought, walked like she owned the room. Camille mentioned her casually at first. Tony made this playlist. Tony thinks I should cut my hair. Tony said the funniest thing today. At first, Darius thought she'd just made a new friend. But things shifted. Fast. Camille started coming home late. Said she was helping Tony move. Grabbing drinks. Disappearing on off days. Phone face down. New passcode. One night, Darius asked, "You and Tony got something going on?" She blinked. "What?" "I'm asking you a question." She laughed. Not the soft laugh he loved. The kind that cuts. "You're paranoid," she said. "Always looking for something that ain't there." But it was there. Camille moved like a ghost after that. Left early. Came home late. Barely spoke. Darius sometimes found her standing in the dark, staring out the kitchen window. Said she was tired. Always tired. Then she started missing work. At first, she said it was depression. Darius believed her. Told her to take time off. Offered to help. Encouraged therapy. But Camille wasn't depressed. She was done. Done with the marriage. Done hiding. Done pretending. But she couldn't just leave. Her parents wouldn't understand. The church would gossip. And Darius, he didn't deserve it, but he was in the way. And Tony? Tony had a plan. One night, Camille sat with Tony, head on her lap, soft music playing. She whispered, if he was gone, we'd be free. Tony didn't flinch, just stopped running her fingers through Camille's hair. "You sure about that?" Camille didn't answer, but she didn't take it back either. Tony called a guy named Sean, a quiet dealer who ran pills from a barbershop backroom. $500. He gave her a pouch with 3 vials of coke, 2 packs of oxy, and enough product to wreck a man's life. Camille had a spare key to Darius's car. Thursday afternoon, while he was getting a haircut, she popped the trunk, tucked the pouch beneath the spare tire, wiped her prints, and drove off. That night, she smiled at Darius. "Tacos for dinner." He kissed her cheek. "Yeah, love you." She nodded, pretending she didn't feel like trash. The next morning, the Charlotte Metro Narcotics Unit got an anonymous tip. A man named Darius Hall was selling drugs to kids at a community center. "Check his car. You'll find it in the trunk. No fingerprints. No trail. Just enough to ruin a man." A week later, Darius was driving home when he saw the flashing lights. He wasn't speeding. No warrants. So he pulled over, calm. "Step out of the vehicle," one officer said. Darius blinked. "Everything all right?" "We received a tip. Need to search your car." He stepped out, confused, not worried, until they popped the trunk and pulled out the pouch. "Sir, you're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute." "That's not mine," he shouted, but the cuffs were already around his wrists. At the station, Darius sat in stunned silence. Then Camille walked in, tears in her eyes, hair in a tight bun, scrub still on, looking like a woman who just found out her world had crumbled. "He's been acting strange," she told the detective. "I think he's been selling stuff at the center." Darius couldn't speak. She didn't even look at him. Later, she told the DA she found pills in his gym bag weeks ago. Said she thought he'd changed, but maybe not. They offered her a deal. Testify and walk away clean. She agreed, without blinking. The trial was swift and brutal. Black man, prior record, drugs in the trunk, a wife sobbing on the stand, saying she never imagined he'd go back to that life. The jury didn't need convincing. The prosecutor called him a double-faced liar, mentor by day, dealer by night. And through it all, Darius sat still, like a man watching his own funeral. He didn't cry, didn't scream, but inside, he was breaking. He was found guilty, 15 years behind bars. The sun felt different the day Darius Hall walked out of Central Prison. It was sharper somehow, more violent. The air didn't smell like freedom. It smelled like unfinished business. 9 years. That's how long he served before the parole board decided he'd done enough time. Not because they believed he was innocent, but because he kept his head down, took classes, mentored younger inmates, stayed quiet, kept his rage buried beneath his ribs like a live grenade. He never stopped thinking about Camille, never stopped seeing her hand on that Bible, her voice cracking in fake sorrow, the way she walked out of the courtroom like she'd just done her duty, not destroyed a man. And Tony? She'd vanished. Not one visit, not one call, not even a whisper of her name. But Darius never forgot. The day he stepped out in prison-issued boots and a paper-thin windbreaker, his sister Shonda was waiting in a borrowed car. She hugged him tight. He didn't cry. Couldn't. That part of him was gone. He climbed in and said nothing, because revenge doesn't need words. It needs time. And now, he had it. The first few weeks on the outside were a blur. He stayed in his sister's spare room, tried to get used to the rhythm of the world again. Phones that unlocked with faces, cars that barely made noise, teenagers glued to screens. He didn't talk much, barely slept. Every night, he laid awake replaying the trial. The setup, Camille's eyes as she lied under oath, the way the prosecutor smiled when the verdict came in. How no one, not even his own public defender, believed him. But something had changed. There was a file Shonda had found while cleaning out their mother's attic. A thick manila envelope stuffed with old emails, photos, printouts of text messages. Things Camille must have meant to destroy, but didn't. They painted a different story. One no court had seen. One Darius intended to finish. He started with Camille. According to Shonda, Camille had moved across town after the trial. bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood called Rosewood Heights. She'd changed her last name, started over as Camille Bryant, still worked in healthcare, but now at a clinic instead of a hospital. And she had a kid, a little girl named Nia. Darius stared at the photo his sister had snapped from Facebook. Nia looked about 7. Big brown eyes. Same dimpled chin Camille had. She was holding a gold balloon and grinning like the world made sense. Darius's stomach turned. He did the math. Camille got pregnant right after the trial. Was it his? He couldn't shake the possibility, but he didn't let it distract him. He wasn't here to play daddy. He was here to dig up truth. One evening, he drove out to Rosewood Heights, parked half a block down from Camille's home, sat behind tinted windows, and watched. She pulled into the driveway around 6:42 p.m. Still petite, still neat, but older now, more tired. The lightness she once had was gone. She looked over her shoulder 3 times before stepping out of the car. Paranoia. Interesting. A little girl burst from the front door. Nia. Camille scooped her up, kissed her cheek, and walked inside. Darius didn't move. He just stared at that door and whispered, "You don't even know I'm out." He didn't confront her. Not yet. That was too easy, too fast. He needed more. So he turned his attention to the other half of the betrayal, Tony Latimore. Finding her was harder. Tony had scrubbed her online presence. No Facebook, no Instagram, nothing under her name in local databases. But Darius knew how to look. He remembered the street Tony once mentioned during a fight Camille thought he hadn't overheard, Davis Avenue. So he searched property records. And there it was, a deed under the name Tonya L. Fields, Tony's legal name. She owned a duplex on Davis Avenue, rented out one half, lived in the other. So Darius drove by. Her side was easy to spot. Loud music, bike with pink rims out front, window half open, curtain fluttering. He watched from across the street. She stepped out around 5:30, carrying a gym bag. Still bold, still beautiful, but something about her seemed hardened. Her walk was less cocky, like life had thrown her a few punches she didn't see coming. Darius followed her to a boxing gym on Monroe Street, watched her throw jabs like she was fighting ghosts. He didn't go inside, just made a mental note. Tony was still dangerous, but so was he. He spent the next few days assembling a plan. He wasn't going to the cops. They wouldn't care. His trial was old news. No physical evidence had surfaced. Camille's testimony had sealed his fate, and she had immunity. Tony had never even been called to the stand. So this had to be done carefully, through exposure, leverage, and a little pressure. Step 1. Break Camille's mask. He waited until she was alone one evening, walking out of a grocery store. As she fumbled for her keys, he stepped in front of her, quiet, sudden. Her body froze. Her face drained the color. "Hey, Camille!" She dropped her keys. "Darius." He picked them up, handed them to her like a gentleman. "I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to talk." She backed away. I can't." "You got 9 years of my life," he said calmly. "You can spare me 9 minutes." She looked around, voice trembling. "You shouldn't be here." "I know everything," he whispered. "Everything you and Tony did." That got her. Her knees wobbled. She leaned against the car door. I didn't want it to happen like that." Darius tilted his head. "But it did happen like that." She was shaking. "I have a daughter." "I know. Nia, right." His eyes locked onto hers. "She might be mine." Camille's breath hitched. "You need to leave," she whispered. "Please." "Not until I get what I came for." "What is that?" "The truth, and a confession." She stared at him like he was insane. Then he stepped back, calm as ever. "You got 3 days, or I go public." He didn't wait for her answer. The next morning, he emailed her from an anonymous account. Attached were scanned images from the envelope Shonda had found, photos of Camille and Tony together, timestamp texts that hinted at the plan, and one message from Tony saying, "He won't see it coming." He gave her 2 options: confess, or watch the world find out. But Camille didn't respond. Instead, she did what cowards do. She ran to Tony. Darius followed her the whole way, sitting 2 cars back as she sped across town to Davis Avenue. She banged on Tony's door like the past was on fire. Tony opened it, eyes narrowing. What the hell? Camille shoved her inside. Darius parked and waited. Through the open window, he could hear muffled yelling. Then a name. His name. Tony's voice rose. You told me you burned all that. Camille sobbed something back. You said he'd never get out. Silence. Then Tony's voice, cold and deadly. He's not gonna stop, is he? No. Camille whispered. He wants us to confess. Tony said nothing for a long time. Then she added, then maybe he needs another reminder. Darius clenched the steering wheel. She hadn't changed. She was still dangerous. And now, she was cornered. That night, he got a brick through his sister's front window. No note, no signature, just glass. Shonda freaked out, wanted to call the police. But Darius stopped her. This is between me and them. You sure about that? She snapped. 'Cause it's my damn house. He apologized, promised to handle it. But he knew now, Tony had no intention of confessing. So he went to step 2. He uploaded everything. The photos, the texts, a full written account of what happened, from the anonymous tip to the planted drugs to Camille's courtroom betrayal. He posted it to a blog, shared it across old forums, sent it to a small-time local journalist he knew had once doubted the original conviction. And then, he waited. It took 2 days. The blog post went semi-viral. Not mainstream news, but enough noise to raise eyebrows. People began to share it, comment, question the original case. Old acquaintances reached out in disbelief. Even a former counselor from the youth center reposted it, asking, did we get this wrong? Camille saw it, Tony saw it, and suddenly, the story they buried was digging its way back to the surface. 4th night, Camille showed up at Darius's door. Alone, no makeup, hair wild, eyes swollen. I'll talk, she said quietly, but not on camera. You don't get to pick terms, he replied. She hesitated, swallowed hard. If I do this, you leave me and my daughter alone. You swear to tell the truth. She nodded, so he pulled out his phone, hit record, and waited. What came next was a confession, raw, messy, broken. She admitted to planting the drugs, said she was manipulated, scared, trapped, blamed Tony for pushing it too far. But she never denied it happened. When she was done, Darius said nothing, just save the file. The final step? He sent it to the DA's office, along with the blog, along with the file. And this time, they listened, because now the public was watching. Now the pressure was real. And now, the system had no choice but to reopen the case. It's still unfolding, but Camille's nursing license has been suspended. Tony's under investigation. And Darius is standing in the ruins of what they built, what they burned, and holding the match they thought they hid. He may never get those 9 years back, but he got something else. Truth, justice, and maybe the beginning of peace.